This is The Dark Past of the Dark Knight by Joseph Chang. Everyone knows the rich, intelligent, and very intimidating superhero, Batman, also known as Bruce Wayne, for those of you that didn't know. However, not everyone knows about the creation and growth of this hero. Others might not even know the dark history given to Batman as a tragic backstory. Now, before you go about and look him up on MySpace, Google+, or even LinkedIn, come with me as we investigate the numerous histories about Batman. Whether it's about the creators of the comic book or the beginning of the actual series, or even why Batman is who he is. Now pick up your magnifying glass and go back with me, back to 1939. Before DC Comics was DC Comics, they were just the comic book division for the national publications. The editors of the company asked this division to create more superheroes. After receiving this challenge, a man named Bob Kane created the first edition of Batman, or as he called it, the Batman. A friend and collaborator named Bill Finger then looked over Kane's first drawings of Batman. These drawings consisted of Batman having red tights, boots, and a mask that fancy people wear to costume parties. He also had no gloves, no arm guards, and no cape. Lastly, this version of Batman had two stiff wings sticking out of his back to replicate a bat. After seeing this ridiculous superhero, Finger had to make some modifications of his own. Finger decided to make Batman have a cowl or a long hood instead of a little mask. He also gave Batman a cape. Finger then included gloves, and this was because Batman is a detective and he wouldn't leave fingerprints everywhere. Lastly, Bill Finger removed all of the red fabric and replaced it with a very intimidating black. Bill Finger also gave Batman his famous secret identity, Bruce Wayne. After successfully creating the new and improved Batman, Kane gave the ownership rights away. In return, he received an obligatory byline on all the future Batman comics. However, Bill Finger was not given any credit or even a byline for any of his work on Batman. Now, after hearing about the creators and their drama, let's talk about the actual comic book series. In the beginning, Batman didn't even have its own comic book. Instead, the first Batman comic was published in the Detective Comics number 27 in the May of 1939. The first story was called The Case of the Chemical Syndicates and turned out to be a huge hit. This success was mainly due to the fact that Batman was a hero who showed little to no regret over injuring or killing criminals. Batman received its own comic book in 1940, while continuing to be published in Detective Comics. Due to the success of Batman and Superman, National Publications had become the top-selling publisher of that time. Over the next few comics, Bob Kane continued to refine Batman. Kane introduced Batman's signature utility belt in Detective Comics number 29. Then two comics later, in Detective Comics number 31, Kane presented Batman's Bat Boomerang and his first vehicle, the Batplane. Finally, in the November edition of Detective Comics, Batman's Dark Past was told. This two-page edition was written by Bill Finger. In this comic, it illustrates a very young Bruce Wayne watching his parents get murdered by a street mugger. At his parents' graves a few days later, it shows Bruce Wayne vowing to avenge their deaths by fighting all crime and bringing justice to Gotham. After 5 months of dark, humorless, crime-fighting Batman, it started to lighten up with the introduction of Robin. Robin was brought into the dark world of Gotham because Bill Finger suggested that Batman needed a sidekick. However, having Robin had some drawbacks. For example, a psychologist named Frederick Wortham criticized the Batman comics for the homosexual implications between Batman and Robin. in order to counter any accusations of any homosexual allegations. Batwoman and Batgirl were introduced. This move let Batman survive a few more years, and he even joined up with the Justice League in that time. However, this success was shortly lived. By 1964, Batman sales has drastically taken a downfall. This falling led to DC almost completely dropping Batman. However, a new editor was introduced, Julius Schwartz. Schwartz then hired a new artist named Carmine Infantino. Infantino redesigned the Batmobile and Batman's costume. Batman also retired from the Justice League, and characters such as Batwoman were discharged from duty. However, the one thing that surely saved the whole Batman series was the introduction of a television series in 1966. This new series had an impact on the popularity of the Batman series and kept it going for 2 more years. However, in 1968, the TV show was cancelled and Batman was in a troubled place once again. Then in 1969, writer Dennis O'Neil and artist Neil Adams took Batman back to the beginning. They made Batman into his old self, dark, uninviting, and cold. Yet this didn't help Batman at all. Actually, Batman hit an all-time low in 1985. Finally, Frank Miller created the limited series called The Dark Knight Returns. This was the beginning of a popularity spark that led until even now, with Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight series. Now, think about what you just heard. If you thought you knew Batman before this, how many of these facts did you actually know? Did you truly know that Batman and Robin were in the middle of a gossip feud? Did you know that the Batman series were that close to ending multiple times? Did you honestly know that Batman could have been designed to be wearing red tights and a fancy handheld mask? Even if you didn't know all these things before, now you do. Now, you are that much more intelligent, and you're that much closer to becoming a Batmanologist. Thank you.